Dennis Young here, Primitive Substance Channel. Another great interview. Neil Alexander, fantastic pianist, synthesizer, composer, and you do a wide range of music too. So Neil,
That's
thanks
correct.
for coming on.
Sure, man. Thanks for having me. Really excited
As
to
I
be
said
here.
before we started, you're one of the busiest guys I know. I mean, you got a lot going on.
Yeah, I like to stay busy, and I get bored easily. So
Okay.
hence the variety.
So what music got you into playing keyboards, and how did that happen?
Well, my dad was an electrical engineer and a classical pianist. So
Okay.
if you look at that, and then when I was 10 years old, I got my hands on a copy of Switched on Bach by Wendy Carlos.
Oh, that's a classic.
And so in that moment at age 10, I saw both the worlds of classical music and electrical engineering coming together.
Wow.
And it kind of said, oh, that's my destiny.
There you go. Yeah. I mean, can't get better than that. Come on.
And I had
fantastic.
I'd already been studying piano for a couple of years at that point, and I liked what I was hearing, and I was kind of a geeky kid. I didn't have a lot of friends. I spent a lot of time at the piano in the house. So
I think a lot of people like that. They're very interested in music. They just get so involved. They like being by themselves and just creating music.
Yes.
And that's what happens.
Yeah.
So were you in cover bands at all in high school or in your early 20s?
I started writing music at age 18.
Okay.
I made it a point to I grew up listening to all this music, and I wanted to write. And so I was in a cover band in 9th grade. I was living in Nyack, New York, and I joined some cover band, and I was learning things like Down by the River by Neil Young, which I had, till that point, never heard. So even though I was 12 or 13, I'd not.
Right.
I was learning a lot of songs I hadn't heard, but that didn't last long. And then I moved into New York City and started jamming a lot with people, but we weren't really trying to play other people's music. And then around age 17, 18, I started trying to write. Now, as a working musician, I've always had to learn other people's music and perform it, but I was never in a quote cover band really until 1996 when I joined the band called The Machine, which is a Pink Floyd tribute.
Okay.
Which I was in for 10 years. And that kind of inserted me into what I now understand to be the cover band scene.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there is a scene. I didn't start out that way. So
what is The Machine? What kind of music was that?
Machine is a Pink Floyd tribute band.
Got it. Okay. And, that's what I thought.
Yeah, they were together for about 6 or 7 years before I got in the band. I left in 2006, and they're still going. So they're still doing it.
Well, there's a lot of work for those type of groups.
Yeah, they're working constantly. So good for them.
Have you seen the Musical Box?
I have.
They're incredible.
Yeah, they are incredible. And my friend, I'm in another tribute band now called the Mahavishnu Project.
Oh, I know that. Right.
With drummer Greg Bendian.
Yes, he's got a channel.
And yes, he does, the podcast.
Yep.
And Greg was in the Musical Box for a minute. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So he brought me to a couple of shows and let me come backstage and meet the guys and stuff like that. It was thrilling. They were really amazing. As you know, in that scene, in that world, being a cover band like that, they were kind of it doesn't really get much better than that.
No, it doesn't. And I had Ian on the show from the Musical Box, and they actually tour around with a Mellotron. And
A
now they claim that they've got one of the early Genesis Mellotrons that they take with them.
When I saw them, they were not using a real Mellotron. They were using samples.
Okay.
But they had an RMI electropiano case. The RMI electropiano was something that Tony Banks used and Rick Wakeman and a lot of these early artists used. They had the case and they had a digital controller mounted in the case.
Okay.
And they also had a Mellotron case with another controller mounted in the Mellotron case to make it look like they had the real equipment.
Oh, maybe, I don't know.
But they couldn't, you can't, it's very difficult to use the real equipment because it's terrifyingly unreliable. You know, the stories that I've heard of bands touring with Mellotrons, everybody had to have 3 of them because 2 of them were always broken.
Yeah, I don't know how you tour. I don't know how they toured with those. And they look like a ton.
Yeah, it's
really
very
heavy.
Yeah. I mean, it's a giant tape machine, you know.
Right.
The tape player for each key.
I want to talk about some of your records, though, like Mr. Gong. That is like a very funky record.
You're talking about the one we just did in 2004?
Right. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we did. That's Mr. Gone is inspired by the Mahavishnu Project. I started my own band to do the music of Weather Report and Herbie Hancock's Headhunters. And that band I started with my friend Peter Ferlin, saxophone player, great musician, educator, dear friend. We started that band in 2014.
Okay.
And we've been touring on and off quite a bit. But in 2023, it was 50th anniversary of the Headhunters record. So we decided to perform the entire Headhunters record.
Oh boy, that must have been a lot of work.
It was a lot of work, but it was so much fun because the tunes are so great. It's only 4 songs on the original recording. And we rounded out the set with some Wayne Shorter compositions from the Weather Report era.
Wow, that sounds like a great show.
Yeah, it was a terrific show. And we got one of those shows recorded, and that's the record.
Okay.
We released that in summer of 2024.
And what about this Live at the Blue Note? I listened to some of that. That is really, really good.
Well, thank you very much.
I like that record.
My band Nail, we're now in our 27th year. I started Nail in 1999 as a vehicle to just do my original compositions and some of my favorite standards or tunes by other people. Like very often we'll play Black Market by Weather Report, or we'll do, whatever I feel like. It's my band. Play whatever I feel like playing.
So that's where the Nail comes from, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, the name Nail came from an engineer that used to work with the machine, and he nicknamed me Nail, and it kind of stuck, and I decided, I like that. I'm going to go with that. So I started
sounds good.
Branding myself with like my website is nailmusic.com. That's my YouTube channel and my Instagram handle. So it's
in the studio you always nail it, right?
I guess that's where like I said,
right?
I didn't make up the name. I didn't create that.
That's great. So
Live at the Blue Note, just to finish answering your question.
Sure.
So in 2007, we got an offer to play at the Blue Note in the what they call it, the Late Night Groove series. The show started at 12:30 at night after their regular shows. They would have 2 shows of a name artist, 8 and 10. Then they clear the room and they bring us on, and we start at like 12:30, 1 o'clock. We did that a couple of times. So that's where that came from.
You got a real good band there. I mean, Steve Rust on bass. I really like it. He's just so good.
Yeah, Steve Rust. We've been through a lot of personnel changes over the years. Steve was an amazing bass player. He used a lot of effects, complemented what I was doing very well, but not always available. Eventually, we changed to another person named Charlie Nicely. Now we have this wonderful bassist named Brian Mooney, who is in the Mahavishnu Project and also has his own band called Pictor's Metamorphosis.
I like that. And
Which
what kind of music is that?
That's also you would say maybe a tribute band or a cover band, but not of any specific artist, just of music from the heyday of electric jazz fusion. So they'll do Mahavishnu Orchestra tunes or Weather Report or Mike Stern or Stanley Clarke or Chick Corea, a really wide variety of stuff. Always interesting shows.
For Mahavishnu, you have to have a really good guitarist for that kind of music. I mean, John McLaughlin was just amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And still is.
Yeah, I know he's still playing. Yeah. It's really great. And I wanted to ask you about this record you did with Spirit of South Africa, Songs of the Fathers. Talk a little bit about that.
Okay, so there was did you ever hear of an artist named Dollar Brand?
No.
Okay. This is going back to the 60s and 70s. He was a jazz pianist from South Africa. His real name is Abdullah Ibrahim. And he was supported by people like Duke Ellington. Like Duke Ellington knew who he was. And so he had a wide reputation, and he did all this music. I think he was still alive even till relatively recently. I'm not sure I have all those details right, but a gentleman I know, a drummer named Phil Raskin, who sadly passed away earlier this year, has a record label. It was Phil Raskin's project, and basically he wanted to do a reimagining of the music of this gentleman, Abdul Ibrahim.
Okay.
And so, yeah, that's right. I got the name right. It's on Resonant Artist label.
Okay.
And so he brought in myself and a saxophone player named Frank Dobelkar, and Frank and Phil went back a long ways to know each other. And he came over, and we spent a lot of time working with synthesizers and doing orchestration, and to create like kind of a soundscape version of his compositions. And his compositions are really beautiful, heartfelt, deep compositions, generally rendered by a jazz trio or a jazz quartet. But we set them in this, Phil had this idea to set them in this kind of more expansive sound set. So I brought in a lot of keyboards to the studio, and we did experiments with sequencing and all kinds of things. And the record came out pretty good.
Yeah, it did.
This is in 2023, I guess. No, 2024, March 2024.
You have quite an extensive Bandcamp site. I'm thinking, wow, look at all this music. It's great.
Yeah, well, one thing that modern technology has afforded is for artists like me to be able to produce their own music without having to take it to a professional studio,
right,
or have a record label to put it out. So as I create music, I release it. And
that's the way to do it. I mean, nowadays, there's no record labels left. I mean, there are, but they're not going to make money.
Everything is a little weird these days.
It is. I mean, these AI records and songs, it's gotten really strange.
Yeah, it just continues to get weirder. So I'm happy that the tools exist to release my own music,
So before we look at your equipment, you did also these space music records that I really like. Inner Music Ensemble. I really like Solar Particles. I listen to because I like that kind of music.
Okay. Yeah, the ambient music.
Yep.
I've always loved ambient music ever since I heard Brian Eno's Music for Airports in 1970, whatever that was, 73 or whatever year that came out.
Okay.
Called the Northeast Electro Music Festival.
Okay.
And it took place in near Port Jervis in Orange County. And I went one year on a whim, what is this? Let me just pop in and see what it's about. And I met an enormous amount, a giant community of people, not all musicians, a lot of them engineers or tinkerers or people who did other things, who were all experimenting with ambient music and electronic music in all kinds of different ways, like people were doing music with coding on a computer, people
Wow.
building their own instruments, all kinds of stuff. And I found I connected with some people there, and they welcomed me in like family. And
That's nice.
and so then I started releasing ambient music records. And actually, the record you mentioned, Inner Music Ensemble,
Yeah.
that was before I met them. That was back in 2001. I was working with a percussionist named Siege Segal,
Okay.
and we would improvise, and it sounded like that. So we just
Yeah.
made a record, and I was hoping to market it to, like, yoga studios and things like
Yeah.
that. So, but I didn't do another one until many years later. Now, Solar Particles, on the other hand, is produced by a wonderful friend of mine named Alan Wentz, who
Okay.
currently lives in Florida, and he was a programmer and session musician for people like Cyndi Lauper
No
and
kidding.
all these
Wow.
other people in the 70s. He's
Oh,
about 10
wow.
years older than I am. And he had a studio about 10 minutes away from me. He recently relocated to Florida, but he had a studio nearby. We would get coffee. We would go to his studio. We would turn knobs and do things. And he made a couple of records. He made Solar Particles, and he made another record called Guard the Point,
Okay.
which you can
I'll
also
look
find.
that up.
Yeah. And these were all done in his studio. And he had myself, a bass player named Trip Wamsley from Louisiana, a
Okay.
guitarist named Rob from California.
Okay.
Sorry, I can't remember his name.
So did you guys meet in person to do this?
No, everything was done remotely.
That's what I thought.
I subsequently met everyone after the fact, but Rob Michael on guitar.
Okay.
But everything was done remotely by Alan, and he had us do multiple passes and recordings, and then he edited it all together, assembled it, mixed it, and it sounds amazing.
Yeah, I heard some of it. It's really just terrific record. It's really well done.
Cool. Yeah, you
Sounds
check
like
out
you
some of
put a
his
lot
other-
of. I'm gonna have to maybe talk to him
Yeah.
sometime because he must have some great stories.
Oh, he certainly does.
I
Wow.
imagine he does for the music industry.
Yeah.
With those type of characters.
I mean,
It must have been-
he worked with all the synthesizer manufacturers when these instruments were just coming out. He worked with Dave Smith from Sequential. He worked with
Oh, okay.
he knew Wendy Carlos. He knew Bob Moog. He was like involved with the production, kind of like as a user.
Okay.
He would get in touch with the manufacturer and say, "Hey, this works. This doesn't work," and then they would go back. I'm sure they had other people doing that too, but
Yeah.
he does have some pretty amazing stories.
I got to try to get a hold of him, or maybe give me his email address. I can
Sure.
touch base. So
Yeah,
I see
when we get off of here, I can do that.
great. I see all these toys behind you there. So maybe you could go talk about a few of your keyboards that you're using now, and that would be great for everybody to see. Look at that!
I don't
Wow.
know if you can see everything.
Yep, that's all right. Looks great.
So this guy right here,
Right.
this is my master keyboard. This is a Chord Kronos.
Wow, that sounds nice. Oh, I like that.
Has great piano sounds. It does a ton of different things. It's got many more features than I actually use, but it allows me to structure very complex and interesting sounds, to do kind of sound design.
So you like MIDI it up with other.
Don't have to.
Oh, you don't have to.
Nope, totally standalone.
That really sounds good.
Right? So that's great.
Right.
This on top here,
Right.
is Dave Smith Prophet 12. Here, let me see if I can move the camera a little bit.
Oh yeah, that's a good instrument too.
The
Wow.
Prophet 12 came out in 2015.
Okay.
Over here is a Dave Smith Pro 2.
Oh, that's a good lead. Get some good lead sounds with that.
Yeah, you can really do. Let's see if I've got a couple in here. I have a lot of fun with this instrument. It's very versatile.
And plus, I could picture that in Weather Reports songs. Oh yeah, that's really.
Yeah, and it
Unique.
does a lot of the zonal ARP 2600 lead sounds. Kind of does those very well. Then behind me, on top is Moog Sub 37. This is a controller keyboard. It's a roller controller keyboard, and that drives the Oberheim OB6 module.
That's a nice instrument.
And which is an amazing sounding piece. It sounds so.
Is it one of the better ones, the OB6? If I would get a sequential circuit product, would that be one of them?
It's one of the best ones you could get. Yeah,
OB6,
I mean, you know, the new Prophet 5 is really great. The Prophet 6, the Prophet 10, all those things are amazing. This instrument was designed by Tom Oberheim in conjunction with Dave Smith. They worked on it together.
Oh, okay.
So it has like a lot of the best of both worlds. You know, it's a little simpler, doesn't have extensive modulation routing, but the oscillators sound so good.
See, that's what you miss now. Some of these new keyboards, they just, I don't know what they did. They don't sound rich and full.
Yeah,
I don't know what happened.
It's you know, not everybody's using real analog circuitry anymore, and real analog filters. This thing is like, it's basically 100% analog, and it sounds. I don't know if you ever had a chance to play with like an Oberheim 8 voice or
No.
OB12 or they have a very distinctive sound, and this has that sound.
So I got anybody out there, OB6. That's the one to use.
So
wow, and then you got a lot of pedals too, right? And
now this guy, well, I'm going to talk about this guy first.
Okay.
This is a Moog Memory Moog, which I got from my good friend who also has since passed away a few years ago now, Professor Herb Deutsch. I don't know if you're familiar with that name.
I've heard of that name, yeah.
Professor Deutsch, Herb, worked with Bob Moog in 1966, 67, 68 in the development of the first synthesizers. And was working with Bob Moog when Bob was developing what became known as an envelope generator. Which gives you your attack, decay, sustain, release, which is found on every instrument since, almost on 95% of instruments. And so Herb was liquidating his studio, and he had one of these. He bought this in 1982 right off the assembly line because he was working at the Moog factory. And it's basically like brand new. And he called me and asked me if I wanted to buy it, and I said yes. It's an incredible sounding.
What do you use that on? What particular band? Do you use it for Mahavishnu? Do you use it for the machine?
It never goes out.
I don't blame you. I was going to ask you about that.
That thing never goes out the house.
That shouldn't. That's a relic. That's a part of history.
Yeah.
You can't take that
amazing. I use it for recording, you know. I also have a couple of original mini Moogs.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I do. I have a Yamaha DX7 floating around here.
I remember that.
I have, you know, not everything is out.
Okay.
Only the stuff that I'm currently using all the time is out. A lot of things are stored or hiding somewhere.
Do you have any Korg gear? Because I was looking at that Wave Station from the 90s. Beautiful sounds on that.
Yeah.
Beautiful pads on that instrument.
I have a Wave Station. I have a Wave Station rack and a Wave Station keyboard.
Do you like that keyboard?
I do. They're very difficult to program.
Okay.
But I really like the way they sound. And you can get, Korg has an app, a Wave Station app.
Okay.
That functions just like the original.
So you can just buy the app and then use that with the keyboard. Okay.
Yeah. And
That's
even
good to know.
if you have an original Wave Station keyboard, I believe you can build sounds in the app and then send them over to the keyboard via system exclusive. Which makes it a lot easier to program than, you know, back then everything was a little tiny LCD screen. And
right.
You know, they're very difficult to program.
Right. That
but
sounds
they are
interesting.
terrific sounding instruments. This is a Korg. This is the Korg Kronos here.
That sounds really good.
It's really.
And it looks like you have pedals, and do you use a lot of effect pedals at all? Like,
I don't really. I have a delay pedal that's hardwired to the Kronos,
okay,
and I use it for Echoplex style effects.
right.
I don't know if you
Oh
can hear
yeah,
that.
like right. Yeah, I hear that.
And
So
then I
yeah,
have a
it's
yeah. It's
right.
a Strymon timeline, which is a really high quality echo
Hmm,
pedal. Most of the pedals that are down here are um, control pedals or sustain switches.
okay.
So they just go into control inputs on the keyboard, and they tell the keyboard what to do. They don't actually pass audio.
Now, when you do the machine show, do you do the songs from Dark Side of the Moon, or do you do it from Wish You Were Here? What kind of songs do you do?
Well, so
You
I
did,
left the machine. I left the machine in 2006, but we
right?
were doing everything that we could do from their entire catalog. So we started from Piper at the Gates of Dawn and did as like probably a half a dozen songs from that record, Sauceful of Secrets, a couple of songs from Amagama, Atom Heart Mother,
Hmm,
Metal, Dark Side, Wish You Were Here, Animals. One time at the Wetlands in New York City, we played at
right.
this club we used to play at. We had just did a 2.5 hour show, and we decided that we were going to encore with the entire Animals album.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
And it was great, except when we finished and they opened the doors, it was
Yeah.
daylight. It was the
Oh
next
my
day.
gosh. Wow. Now that's impressive.
That was
That
back in like 2000. That was back in like 1998, 99.
hmm.
It was a long time ago.
So now you're working on the Mahavishnu Project. Are you still involved with that?
Yeah, we just did a performance in New York City on Thursday of this, just last Thursday.
Okay.
We performed the entire Visions of the Emerald Beyond record at the
Well,
Cutting
that's
Room.
not easy, man.
It was so great. It's such a satisfying group to be in. It's I grew up listening to and playing that music. I was
Yeah.
very influenced by the Mahavishnu Orchestra as a teenager, and so now to be able to bring everything I learned from that music, which taught me so much, and being able to bring that back
Yeah.
into the performance situation is really, it's been delightful, and it was a great show. It was well attended, and I've been in that group now since 2008.
Wow. Now,
So
who's in the group now? Who are the members? Maybe you can mention those.
sure. So we have Greg Bendian is the band leader,
Okay.
and the only continuous member. The current guitarist is a gentleman named John Young Lee. He's a Korean gentleman from the West Point band here in Orange County.
Okay.
West Point musicians are fierce players because
Really?
their practice regimen is part of their Army,
And
discipline.
that's something.
They have to
Wow.
practice X number of hours every single day as part of their.
That's something.
So and this guy is like he can play anything basically.
Hmm.
So he's our current guitarist. Our previous guitarist was Robbie Seahag Mangano, who played with tons of. He plays with band from Utopia, the Zappa people. He plays with lots of, and he's another amazing guitarist. So we have John Young Lee on guitar. We just found a young electric violinist named Ben Ruby from Brooklyn. He's very young. I think he studies with Jean-Luc Ponty and
Wow. That's pretty impressive.
Rob Thomas, the other electric violinist, Rob Thomas. Brian Mooney, as I mentioned, is the bass player.
Right.
And for this concert, we were joined by Peter Furlan, my friend from Mr. Gone, on
Okay.
saxophones, and the great vocalist Melissa Stiliano from New York. Wonderful vocalist. And she sang with the Mahavishnu Project even before I was in it. So she's kind of a long-term member.
Are you planning on doing more shows, say in New Jersey, so everybody could know about? So I'm going to try to see this.
I'm sure they're, Greg's always working on something to get more shows. You just have to keep an eye on the website, mahavishnuproject.com.
Going to have to do that. He's got a fantastic YouTube channel. I mean, he really gets in depth with the artists, and he gets some big names.
Yeah, he does.
He's really great.
Very well connected, and he's super supportive of progressive music and just the arts in general. He's done. Another thing he's done is a really wonderful interview series for Yale University.
Oh, really?
He's kind of like I forget what he calls the series, but it's like getting living stories from artists. Like sitting down with them for a couple of days and finding out, getting their whole life story, and so there's a huge archive at Yale now of all these interviews that he's done.
I never knew that. Well, everybody should check that out.
Yeah. I'm sure Greg would be happy to point you to that.
That's great. I'll get in touch with him on that. So what are you planning on next doing? What's in the near future, Neil, for any shows or recordings?
Well, I got a show coming up. I basically divide what I'm doing into two different camps. Okay. There's the stuff that I get behind that has my name on it, and then there's my freelance work. So for this freelance work, I'm constantly gigging with a variety of artists, local and otherwise, playing mostly jazz or electric funk or avant-garde music. I'm playing tonight, actually. Whoa, yes. Yeah, that's tonight with a gentleman named Brian Kopchak, who's the drummer from Mr. Gone, in his quartet. And we're playing in a local venue called Quinn's here in Beacon, New York. Always a great place to play. One of my other projects is called Cloudburst with some friends of mine from Woodstock. We take songs from the jazz standard repertoire and play them as funk tunes.
Oh, that's a great idea.
And we've been doing that for probably more than a decade. And we're playing in Kingston, New York on Thursday.
Okay.
And on Monday, bring my trio Nail also to Quinn's in Beacon. We've had years where we've had a lot of gigs. We don't have a lot of shows this year. We've got, I think, 2 or 3. But so our first one will be a week from tonight. And then there's so many different things. It's Mr. Gone, or we're looking at getting more gigs for that project. Going over to the freelance side again, I have a show with Peter Furlan. We just cut a live record in Nyack, New York.
Okay.
Peter has a band with 5 horn players and a rhythm section called the Peter Furlan Project. And we just cut a live record. It came out really great. And we're going to do a record release show at the Falcon in Marlborough, New York in November, I think.
Okay. And where do we find a lot of your music? Is it just digital? Do you actually put out CDs? How do you?
I did put out a handful of CDs. I think the last ones we made were the Mr. Gone CDs, and we did a run of 150 just so we could have them sell at shows and things like that.
Yeah, I mean that's always good to have something at the show.
Yeah, but I've been doing mostly digital now since 2012. My solo piano CD, Darn That Dream Solo Piano Volume 1, which I did in 2012, was the last full run of physical CDs that I've done in a while. I do have a project coming up, which I'm very excited about, with the great bassist Percy Jones.
Oh, I know him. Yeah.
And from Brand X, right?
I've tried to get him to interview him, but no luck. He's one of my favorite of all time.
Yeah, he's a pretty incredible bassist.
Does he do interviews at all?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't see why.
I would love to talk to him. So I was a big Brand X fan.
Sure.
Huge.
Yeah. I've known Percy.
So what are you doing with him?
Well, Greg, I cut a record with Percy and Greg Bendian, actually.
Wow.
We did a record at Greg's studio in Emerson, New Jersey, and it's in the can. It's edited. I'm just trying to find time to mix it down. But hopefully that will come out before the end of this year, and that will be one that I definitely will release as physical form.
I got to hear that. So anyway, before we go, so what do you think of the current music, popular music now, with all this AI and all this artificial intelligence?
The AI stuff, I'm doing my best to ignore that as hard as possible and hope that it goes away. I know it's not really going to go away, but I try not to pay too much attention to it. It's obviously, it's not going to go away. It's going to have to be, it's up to us as artists to figure out how to integrate it, figure out how to use it.
I've
not taken I've not stepped over the threshold to try to work with it. I've had it write a couple of text pieces for me, biographical material and stuff like that. And it seems to do okay, but I don't want to kind of let it into my world here, because I like the amount of control that I have. But in terms of popular music, I'll give you an example. In 2000, a woman named Bjork, I'm sure you know who that is.
Yeah, I know her. Yep.
Right? Released an album called Vespertine in 2000. And it's her, and her ensemble was a harpist. Somebody played harp and celeste. 2 guys with samplers and computers, and a full orchestra and a full choir.
Wow.
And to me, this music was so forward thinking, and it was outside of anything I'd ever experienced. And it like changed the way I think about writing and producing music. So
what's the record again? What's the record name again?
It's called Vespertine. Vespertine. I recommend it to anybody that's interested in like anything that's now. It's already 25 years old, so it's not really current anymore. But it was, at least in my musical education, was a turning point in like what's possible, from a production standpoint.
Right.
And there are great songwriters. There are people working. There are people doing amazing things. It's not always on the, it's not always something you'd see on the radio or in your face or whatever. You have something you've got to go digging for. But there is some pretty remarkable stuff going on. A lot of people doing crossover.
There is. Mixing
jazz with pop, with classical, with other things. I was a musical director for a hip hop artist for a couple of years in around 2015. And that was also very educational for me. I wrote horn charts and I did all this other stuff. We played at Lincoln Center. So I try to stay current. I try to stay interested in what's happening. I just keep my ears open and see what we got. There's a gentleman who is a student of Greg's named Matt Stober. I'm trying to remember.
Oh, I've heard of him. He's very good.
Yeah, he has a wonderful band and he does some really amazing music. I'm trying to find his Bandcamp page. Nope, I can't find it.
So is that where we could find a lot of your music, on Bandcamp?
Yeah, all of my officially released music is on Bandcamp. I also have a SoundCloud account, which I'll put in the chat here.
Yeah.
SoundCloud.
Okay. Yeah, send me everything you want me to put on the description, and I'll put it in when I put the video up.
Okay. Terrific. I'll send you a text at the usual address.
Great.
When we get done, yeah.
So Neil, this has been a pleasure. Thank you for doing this, and
thank you for having me.
No, you've got so much great things going on, and you've added to this series like everybody else had. And I want to thank you again for doing this.
No, thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Okay. Take care now.
Right. Take care, man. Ciao.